Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. Today I'm here to read my first ever V.E. Schwab book. At this point of filming, I've actually started the book already, and that book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. So one of the YouTubers that I watched actually received an ARC of this book and said that they absolutely loved it and that they recommend going into it completely blind. So the only thing that they're going to say that this book is about toxic lesbian vampires. And needless to say that sold me. I immediately went and pre-ordered it. I'm sure you're wondering, well, if you pre-ordered it, why aren't you holding it up for us to see? Because it's been a very long time, and that's because it still hasn't delivered. I was very lucky to have gotten both the audio and the ebook from my library very quickly. However, I'm having such trouble with the physical, which is very annoying. And honestly, if I finish this book before the physical gets to me, I might honestly just return it, because what is the point of buying the book at that point? Unless it's a 5-star, I'm probably going to return it, because it's like, it should not have taken this long to get to me. And I'm very disappointed because it was supposed to get to me the day after release, but instead it was literally, they shipped it from their distribution warehouse directly to my town where I live, and it was there for 3, 4, 5 days before release. It was just sitting to be shipped to me the day after it released. And then I checked the tracking the day that it was supposed to arrive. I got emails and everything saying that it's supposed to arrive today on the 11th of June, which is one day after release. And I looked and saw that it was in a different town that is approximately 2.5 hours away from me. So I was like, what is happening? And then I was very confused, because why did they send it up there? I went and checked my delivery address and it was the correct delivery address. And I was like, maybe there's a glitch in the system. So I called the package delivery service, and then they tell me, oh, we don't have this package. A different package delivery service has it, even though they have my tracking number, and that's the website I've been using as given to me by the bookstore that I ordered the book from. And then on top of all of that, I checked the tracking the next day. It's even further away. Now it's in a town that is maybe like a 10-hour drive from me. And so naturally, I'm very irritated. And then I get another, hey, it's out for delivery email. It's like, the package is 10 hours away from me. What do you mean it's out for delivery? And then they figure out that they sent it to the wrong place. And so had to come all the way back. And supposedly it is officially out for delivery today. And I should be getting it today. I don't trust them anymore. And actually, spoiler alert, I'm very, very far into this novel, to the point where if I wanted to finish it today with the audio, I could. And so I'm very irritated. I'm very annoyed. Definitely a very bitter start to this novel, because I was excited to read it physically. I was excited to have the book in my hand. There are some books that I just need to hold and read. I don't want them as an ebook. I don't want them as an audio. I need them physically, and this was one of those. And the fact that the reading journey started off this way made me angry. And then just the fact that it's probably going to get to me by the end tail of it. Like I said, I'm very strongly considering returning it. By the time it gets to me, it'll be too late to pick up, because I'll have like maybe 100 pages left, and what even is the point? You know what I mean? So yeah. So quick little update. I'm on page 129, which is 23% into the book. I can't really show you what chapters I'm on. I realized that I went into this book completely blind and not knowing what it's about at all, other than the fact that it's about 3 lesbian vampires. So kind of confused. It's definitely more of a slow start, and then it doesn't help that I don't know her writing style, because I've never read V.E. Schwab before. So I'm just kind of learning right now. The first 23% has definitely been mostly me just kind of trying to figure out everything. I did read some reviews and they said that the start of this novel is really slow, so I'm trying very hard not to judge it for the first 50-ish% and just kind of take it as it comes. I am also listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook is amazing so far. I think I'm enjoying the audiobook more than I'm enjoying the physical, actually. But so far we have several characters and I'm really enjoying Maria. However, Alice, I don't really know how I feel about her. Every time she comes onto the page, she's having like these really weird dreams / delusions. And so I'm struggling to get to know Alice, and whenever her chapters come up, I'm not the most excited, but something big did just happen with her. And so I'm hoping that her next chapters are more interesting. And then we also do have a Lottie character, but we've only really seen her for, I think it was one chapter. Yeah, we've only seen her for one chapter so far, and then the rest has been Maria and Alice. And so I want to know more about her, and I'm also excited to learn more about Sabine. And so in general, I'm intrigued. However, I'm also confused, but I'm liking one character a lot, and then the other two, the one I'm getting to know, and the other one I'm not liking, but I'm willing to feel her out. So we're starting off slow and rocky, but not bad. And then also, hi, back. Also, upon filming, I realized I did not clip nearly as much. I did not take nearly as many clips as I thought I did, which kind of sucks because I'm very close to being halfway with this novel. I just reached like the 250-ish mark, and so I was hoping to take a bit more of a detailed reading vlog for this, but I guess not. I will say though, my one thing with this novel so far is I don't like Alice's point of view. Like I said, it's about 3 toxic lesbian vampires. We have 3 points of views. I really enjoyed Mary's point of view. I'm enjoying Sabine's point of view. We've only gotten 1 chapter in Lottie's point of view and nothing yet, so I can't say anything for her. But Alice, that's the 4th point of view we have. Yes, we have 4 point of views, but it's about 3 vampires. When you pick it up, you'll understand. But Alice's point of view, at least so far, has been very boring to me. And then one thing about her specific chapters is with one of the other characters, we follow them chronologically. So kind of throughout their life as a human, then how they turn into a vampire, then their vampire life after that. Whereas with Alice's, it jumps back and forth. But the thing is, there's no coherentness to the jumping back and forth, really, in my opinion. In one of the chapters with Alice, she was at a party and she went into the bathroom, and then she like goes into the bathroom and suddenly she's back in Scotland with her sister, and it's almost confusing a little bit, at least for me. And then suddenly vision's over back there, and there's no break, there's no chapter break or anything to kind of indicate the change. You're just meant to go with it. And normally I don't mind it when it's just a flashback here and there, but every chapter is written like that, where another portion is she's about to have sex with this girl, and in the middle of their foreplay there's a flashback to her sister and her dead mom and her family, and it's like, and then you go back and the girl like goes for her. It's just jarring and kind of unappealing. It's like, I don't want to hear about your family trauma in between foreplay and what comes next. You know what I mean? Like, that makes me uncomfortable. And so I'm really not enjoying her chapters. I'm not enjoying Alice as a character. I'm not enjoying how her chapters were written. It's really bothering me. We are at a point where it's getting a bit interesting though. She's trying to find other vampires because she just got turned, and so she's trying to figure out what is happening with her. And so that part's pretty interesting. I think that section is quite interesting, and I'm hoping now that we've reached the halfway point, maybe her storyline gets more interesting. But so far, I'm just really not enjoying her or her scenes, and she's had a lot of scenes so far. And so to just be forced to listen to them, I'm not really a fan. And then right now, I'm also in a lot of Sabine's point of view, and her point of view is fun, but she's a pause. Like, she's her point of view is in like the 1500s, and so I just can't tell if she's going to be joining the present timeline at all, or if it's just a completely separate story, how that's going to work. So even though I'm enjoying her plot a lot, I'm confused as to where it's coming from and where it's going, if that makes sense. I was very excited to start it, but between the delivery debacle and then just actually the plot of the story, I don't think that I'm liking it that much, which really sucks. I know a lot of people said it starts very slowly, so I'm trying very hard not to judge it based off of this first 50%. However, the book is 560 pages and the first 50% is over 250 pages. And so it's just a little difficult for me to give grace to this novel because it shouldn't take that long to get interesting, in my opinion. It's like, if it takes your book 300 pages to start being interesting, maybe rethink your plot line a little bit and how things happen, because I don't know, I just don't think it should be that long. I think it's a bit ridiculous, and so I'm just kind of being rubbed the wrong way a little bit right now. But I guess I can't really say anything beyond that though, because this is spoiler free and I don't want to ruin this for anyone, and I feel like I've already spoken too much, so I'm gonna go. I'll check in a bit later. Let's all hope this turns around. Hi. So I did actually end up finishing Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I very unfortunately actually did end up giving this book 1.5 stars, which is terrible, I know, but just hear me out as to why I rated it this lowly. The biggest reason is it was just such a disappointment. Sorry, the camera angles keep changing. I don't know where I want to sit today, so sorry about that. But it was just such a disappointment. I've never read a V.E. Schwab book, as we all know, as the title of this video suggests, and I really didn't have any expectations in going into this novel aside from the fact that I assumed it would be good and that I would like it, which I think is fair based off of how popular V.E. Schwab is and how well regarded her novels are. Even going in with basically zero expectations other than, oh, this is going to be good, I was still disappointed, which made it so much worse. Legit, nothing happened for the first 70 to 80% of the novel. We were just following along 3 characters and their lives, which isn't always a bad thing, but I don't think people pick up a vampire novel to not have action and intrigue. You know what I mean? It really felt like there was 100 pages of action at the very, very end. Maybe even less. That's probably me being generous. And that, from a 560 page novel, that's not good at all, in my opinion, to be honest with you. Then speaking of which, the length of this novel is just actually atrocious, especially for how little happened. It should not be 560 pages / 18 hours. And nothing happens in that time. That's insane, actually. I tried really hard to just go with the flow with this novel and give it a good shot and not judge it for being slow, especially because I heard a lot of people say that the start is very slow and you just have to get through that bit. But honestly, around the 40% mark, I really wanted to DNF it. Up until the end of the novel, I really wanted to DNF it, and the only reason I kept reading it was because people said it got better. It's just a slow start, and then lo and behold, the slow start just never ended. I don't think I should have though. I think I should have DNF'd it. This book really felt like a waste of my time, which really, really sucks. And I spent, like, it's a thick book. When it's a 300-page novel, that's bad. It really doesn't feel as awful because it's less time wasted. You know, it's like, oh, whatever. It's a 300-page book. I wasted 3 days on it. Who cares? Versus when it's so many pages and it's bad, it's just so difficult to accept because it's like I spent how much time reading this book for nothing? The reason why it's also so lowly rated is because the potential of this book was so high, and the fact that it just fell so flat is so awful, truly. The conflict at the end between Sabine, Alice, and Lottie and how that conflict resolved itself, and the plot twist at the end was so interesting. And I think it could have been such an interesting book if we focused more on their dynamic together, on the whole psycho vampire X stalking plot line. And it would have been so interesting had that been the story, and had Alice been the main person we were following and trying to figure out vampirism and all of that. I think it would have been so much interesting, so much more interesting, and there was so much potential to really make that an interesting, suspenseful action fantasy. And instead we spent 60% of the novel following Maria around for centuries, just, "Ooh, I'm a vampire. Ooh, I traveled to a new city. Ooh, I ate someone. Ooh, I traveled to a new city. Ooh, I ate someone. Ooh, I met another vampire. Ooh, we're hanging out. Ooh, we both ate someone." It's just like, why? I didn't need to follow her for 300 years. I really didn't need that at all. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is this book needed to be cut down by at least 200 pages, and the action needed to be way more well developed. We didn't need to follow Maria and Charlotte's entire lives from essentially birth for Maria, and then from Charlotte just before she turned, like, that was not necessary. We could have just had a couple flashbacks to get to know them. It was excessive. And then the worst part was the characters, at least to me, felt incredibly one-dimensional, which was so irritating because they all just came down to a singular personality trait, and I felt no depth from them, and so they weren't interesting to follow either. For example, Maria, who then changes her name to Sabine later on, her core personality trait is selfishness. Everything she does is in complete disregard to those around her, does whatever she wants whenever she wants, and that's just it. And there's no depth beyond that ever. At first I thought it was going to be interesting because she was this woman in the 1500s who didn't want to live the life of a woman in that age, you know. She didn't want to just be a wife and have babies. She wanted to travel. She wanted to experience life. She had a bigger vision, and she was built up to be this very interesting character, and then just ended up being fleshed down to just being incredibly selfish and nothing else ever. Alice was essentially just grief and trauma personified, which isn't a bad thing, but again, just everything about her was just constantly talking about, oh, I'm so sad, oh, I'm so sad, oh, I'm so sad. And she never went beyond that. There was nothing else to her aside from just being a traumatized teen, essentially. And then the way we got to know her history, I really didn't like either, because it was in flashbacks. But the way that the flashbacks were written, it was kind of hard to follow when it was happening. Especially in the audiobook, you would feel like you're in the middle of something happening, and then suddenly you're in a flashback, and it gets confusing because it was like, I was just in Boston at a club, and now I'm in Scotland climbing a tree. What happened? Where did that, how did I get here? The way that it was structured too didn't make sense to me. I think there was like one flashback in the middle of a spicy scene, and that was weird because the one girl was about to like go, you know, on her, and just as she was going down there, she just starts thinking about her sister, which was really gross to me. And maybe I misremembered that. Maybe it was weird, but that's the whole thing. Like, I got so confused that it felt like she was thinking about her sister in the middle of, which is like, get some help if you're thinking about your sister while that's happening. That should never ever be a thing. Go to therapy, sort that out, you know? So didn't like that at all. Really frustrating, just confusing, complete waste of potential of this novel, and nothing happens. Waste of time, in my opinion. I'm so sorry. That being said though, a lot of people said it's reminiscent of Addie LaRue, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I think that book's called. So if you're a fan of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, it seems like this one would be up your alley. Now I know not to read that one because I don't think that it would be up mine. But I also do know that The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is very different from her Darker Shade of Magic trilogy and her Vicious duology, which are both two series by her that I did want to read. So I'm going to try not judge V.E. Schwab entirely based off of this book. However, this was a sad, bad, awful start to my V.E. Schwab journey, and I'm genuinely very upset that this is how it went. I really hope that I can salvage this. I really didn't want this video to be this way. I was really hoping that it would be good and fun and a happy time. I was expecting it to be that way going into it. So this was really an upsetting plot twist, but you know, I'm willing to give her another shot at some point. Maybe not this year, but at some point I would like to give her another shot. And I don't know, this is just so upsetting. I do know a lot of people loved this book. So I guess it's also just one of those things where it's like, go into this knowing what you like and dislike. And again, if you like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, there's a higher chance you might like this one. So yeah. If you read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, I would love to know what your thoughts on it are. Did you like it? And if so, why? If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.